Where's your soft warning? There we go. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call. Smith. Clevenger.
Here.
Roberts. Clark.
Here.
Palumbi.
Here.
Graves. Here. Saper.
Here.
Toll.
Here.
2 absent. Pledge of Allegiance night will be led by Councilmember Clevenger. Thank you, Councilmember Clevenger. Next item is the approval of the agenda, and I'm going to ask that one item get removed, number 13, and be the first item on the regular agenda. Is there a motion? Oh, sorry, Councilmember Graves.
Please remove item 9 from the consent agenda for discussion, please.
Item 9 will be the second item discussed. Make sure I write that down. All right. Anything further? Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved to
Amended.
approve the amended agenda.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. This is where I always get out of order. Now we got to go back to public comments. Comments from the public. Seeing no comments from the public, we will go to the consent agendas, or a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. First regular item will be the 7 Days of Kindness Proclamation. And I'll read the proclamation real quick, and then we'll get a short presentation. There she is, from about 7 days. 7 days, okay, I'm sorry. Whereas 7 days make a ripple, change the world, we overcome hate by promoting kindness and understanding through education and dialogue. 7 days provides opportunities encouraging all people to participate in activities that promote and practice kindness. 7 Days 2022 will begin its events on Wednesday, April 13th with the Kindness Kickoff Breakfast, a celebration of youth, and an announcement of the second annual Ripple of Kindness Award to Kansas City Royals President Dayton Moore, and conclude with its annual Kindness Walk on Sunday, April 24th at the World War I Museum and Memorial. Whereas 7 Days continues with themed days of love, discover, others, connect, you, go, and onward, as we bring all people together to overcome hate with acts of kindness based on these themes each day. Whereas the memories of 3 wonderful and unique people, Reet Underwood, Dr. William Corporon, and Terry Lamano, will be honored through kindness and understanding. Whereas the City of North Kansas City fully supports and encourages all in North Kansas City, including residents, businesses, organizations, and visitors, to come together during the 7 days to act more kindly and be more understanding of differences, thereby making the world a better place, one ripple at a time. Now, therefore, I, Bryant DeLong, Mayor, do hereby proclaim April 13th through April 24th to be 7 days of kindness in the City of North Kansas City. And I urge all citizens to engage in acts of kindness throughout the week and remember the events of April 13th, 2014, not only for the losses of that day, but also for the significance of the power and enduring vow to overcome hate with kindness. And I will have you now present. Yeah, right there. Yeah, perfect.
Hey.
I got you.
Hello, I'm Jill Anderson. I'm the director of 7 Days, and I want to start by thanking you all, Mayor DeLong, the City Council. I see police, fire department, and city employees for the kindness that you all show every day just by doing your jobs and taking care of this city, and also all of the citizens that have come to talk about something that is important to them. Kindness is extremely important, as we found out almost 8 years ago when 3 people were murdered at Jewish facilities because someone wanted to kill Jewish people. So our mission to overcome hate by promoting kindness and understanding through education and dialogue is more important than ever as we see these tragic events happen year after year. With that, we have a week of kindness, April 13th through 24th. We have 2 public events, and then every day we are excited that the North Kansas City, as well as 13 other partner cities around the metropolitan area, will be taking part and promoting kind activities for its citizens. So we thank you for the proclamation. And we have a plaque for you that has, it says, with gratitude to the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, for becoming 7 Days Supported City. And it has a place where we've written 2022 and places for further years so you can continue to partner in kindness with us. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. All right, next item would be number 9. Yes, approval of appointment of Jenny Wise to fulfill the unexpired term of Gene Bruns on the TIF Commission. Term expires June 11th, 2023, and the Industrial Development Authority term expires October 24th, 2024. Councilmember Graves.
Yeah, so in the spirit of kindness, I just want to point out that I am in favor of this appointment. The reason I pulled this item from the consent agenda is it's just a way to start a conversation among council members. I've used my council member comments the last, I think, 3 meetings discussing this antiquated system that we have for putting people on boards and committees in the city of North Kansas City. And I haven't had a chance to hear from any other council members on this. And for people, there's only probably 8 people that actually watch city council meetings. And so if you're not aware, many people are not. We, the council members, vote to approve appointments to boards and committees, but we do not have access to applications. So if the mayor selects, Jimbo to the Parks Board, all we see is Jimbo's application. We do not see, we have no idea if he's the most qualified applicant. We have no idea if there's 2 applicants or 50 applicants. We have no idea. So, I think the system that we have is just outdated. We're no longer in an era where there's like a file sitting on someone's desk in 1980. We have a brand new website. You can easily add a tab to the website and list applicants. Going back in history, I'm trying to avoid naming names and things like that, but I've got a half dozen examples written down of times just in the last year and a half or so, spanning not just with the current administration, so this really has nothing to do with the current mayor or anything like that. It's something that's been going on for many years, where there are situations that have arisen, very contentious situations, where there's somebody proposed for a board, and in my opinion, if the applications were public, these situations would not take place. So I can go through this list. It takes time if people are interested in doing that, and I'm actually trying to be proactive and not reactive. I also just want to point out that I feel like, just in politics in general, when your clique or political party or whatever you want to look at, whenever you're not in power, when the other party is in power, they wield tools. And you always take an issue, they shouldn't be allowed to do this, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. But then when your party takes over, you tend to do the exact same thing. So we currently have people on the city council that, during the previous mayor's administration, took huge issue with applicants to boards and committees, and rightfully so, in my opinion. And now that we have a new administration and a different clique is in power, those same exact city council people that took an issue a year ago no longer have any issues with this because it's their people are in power. And so, the term is cronyism, and I'm trying to avoid that and be proactive, and I think that the easiest way to do that is just to put applications online. I talked to the mayor the other day about this, and he gave me a few reasons not to do this, and I have reasons why, to overcome his objections. He was worried about privacy. There's people on your application, your phone number and email address are listed on your application. And that can easily, if we post applications online, you can easily just put a black line through their email address and phone number. But I'd also like to point out that if a member of the public joins a committee, you're foregoing your privacy at that point. So that's kind of a moot point in my opinion. I've also heard the argument, this is the way we've always done it, which that's just a ridiculous argument. I want you guys to use a thought exercise right now, because right now we're loading these boards and commissions with people that are pro-bicycle lane, pro-complete streets, which is fine. I'm voting yes on these. But pretend that the next mayor is super conservative, hates complete streets, wants to rip the whole thing out, and every applicant that he proposes on every board hates complete streets, wants to rip the whole thing out. And I think that you guys would have a problem with that, and rightfully so. So I think the city we deserve, the residents and business owners deserve the most qualified people on boards, and not necessarily people that are friends with the mayor or people that are on his, same political agenda. And then the mayor pointed out, he's concerned about people comparing candidates. If he proposes, candidate A, and then we can look at the applications and say, well, what about candidate B? In my opinion, that's kind of why this should be done, is I think that the mayor if the applications are public, it will force the mayor to actually have to pick the most qualified person, because otherwise he'll look bad. So that's the whole point of making them public, is, the residents and the business owners deserve to have the best, most qualified people on these boards. We have huge projects going up in North Kansas City right now, multi-million-dollar projects. And when we get these projects presented to us by the city staff, they tell us, hey, such and such board approved this project. So if we vote no, it makes us look bad because we're voting no on something that went through the planning commission or whatever commission it is. If that commission's full of political appointments and not necessarily the most qualified people, then I don't think we're serving the community. So I know it was long, I'm sorry, but I'm interested to hear if other people have thoughts on this.
Further councilmember comments? Councilmember Tull.
Since I've been on the council, we haven't appointed two people, and it's using the same process that you're suggesting we should take down. So the process works. The person that was being appointed, people took issue with, and they didn't vote for them. One of those candidates came back later and was voted for, but it's using the same process that we use today. So if you feel that someone is not qualified and you take issue with their application, then you can do the same thing we did before and bring those things up. I tend to agree about the privacy issue, and at the point that you're going to be appointed to a committee, it becomes public. But if you have 15, 20 applications, I don't see why they all need to be made public for everyone to read if you're not going to be chosen. And it's ultimately not us putting the person up. Our job is to approve the person that the mayor puts up.
Councilmember Graves.
Yeah, fair points. The first point you made, I would just say that, if I'm judging if they're qualified or not, how do I know if they're qualified if I have no idea? They might be the only candidate. I have no idea who the other applicants are at that point. And I'll give you an example, a real life example, one of the ones I wrote down. So I had a guy one day approach me in the street, and this was not the current, this was actually over a year ago. I had a guy just approach me in the street and said, hey, I'm an engineer, I build parks, I design parks and playgrounds for a living. I applied to the Parks Board years ago, and I still have an application, I've never been selected. So, there are times when, if I hadn't run into that guy on the street, I would not even know that he had applied. And he's overly qualified, he's an expert in that field, and he's not chosen for this position. And it was demoralizing to him. He felt like, he goes, I've seen other people be, put on the board ahead of me that are not as qualified, that are friends with the mayor. And keep in mind, I'm not attacking our current mayor. This is something that I think that we should be proactive, because this is going to be going on 10 years from now when we're not sitting here and it's different people. The same thing is going to be happening unless somebody at some point in time is proactive and does something about it. And I'm open to other solutions. If somebody else says, I have a better idea, I'm all ears. But at this point, I saw many of you complaining about this a year ago, and now all of a sudden it's totally fine.
When there's a solution, you vote no.
I don't want to vote no. I don't want to be contentious, and I have no idea who the other applicants are. Honestly, I'm very thankful that people are willing to step up and serve the community. And so, it's not a matter of like voting no or attacking people. It's a matter of transparency and encouraging the mayor to make selections based on qualifications instead of, cronyism or political purposes.
Further council member discussion? Is there a motion?
I just have one more thing to say.
Further, Councilmember Toll.
I think it's taking the process as it is now. It is the mayor's choice. And when I said I've seen this happen twice, it was one with each mayor that I've served for. So it's not just one person. It is the mayor's choice. The council approves. That means we do have a say. And it has happened where we have a say and we say, you know what, I think we need to look at this closer. We're not going to vote yes right now because we have an issue with this applicant. But it isn't our choice, it's the mayor's choice. It is our judgment to approve that choice.
I just want to remind you of one other thing that you might have forgot about. There was and I'm trying to leave names out of this, but there was an appointment to the EIC last year, and the council took exception, and the mayor at that point actually said, I don't have any applicants. I only have one applicant, and I had to go find this person. Do you remember that? Because come to find out, he had a stack of applications.
Yes.
But the council was oblivious to it, and you guys were like, why are you choosing this person?
Yes.
And
And
the
I think
mayor's
the
like,
outrage
"Oh,
that
I
you're
only have
referring
one."
to is the fact that a mayor would lie about something like that. It was not an outrage to the process. It was an outrage to the deceit.
So my point is on that example would be, that was a contentious, it makes the city look bad, and the whole thing would have been avoided if
Lying
the
makes people
applications
look
were-
bad anywhere,
public.
anytime. If you're dishonest about something to get what you want, it will make you look bad.
Okay, so you're not in favor of it being public, is that? or
No, I think
what
the
is your-
process of having the mayor do the mayor's job, whoever is in that seat, works. I think the process of having the council look at that application and decide, yes, we approve this, or no, because we take issue with something, I think it works.
Okay, so let's say we're at a cupcake contest, and the mayor comes to us and he says, Lisa, this is the best cupcake in the contest. I'm not going to tell you how many other cupcakes there are. You're not allowed to look at the other cupcakes. This cupcake that I'm choosing as the best cupcake, it happens to be my friend's cupcake. So I need to approve the winner of the cupcake contest. Here it is right here. That's all you get. Please say yes.
Yeah, but you're looking at it
It's
wrong.
insane.
Because in this example, which is really abstract, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to quit talking because we're not going to agree. In this instance, the mayor is choosing a cupcake for a mayor's party. We're just saying, great, it's not poisonous.
Okay, move to approve.
Okay,
Wait a minute.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
There's not a motion.
He moved to it. Councilmember Graves. just
Okay,
made a
you
motion.
move to approve what?
The item.
The appointment of Jenny Wise. to
Oh, okay,
the-
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was very lost.
Let's see if we get a
I'm so
second, and
sorry.
then I can go to conversation. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Clevenger.
Yeah, just real briefly, I'm just a question for you possibly, sir. Or if any one of us had a question about a board appointment and about the applicants received, if we came to you beforehand, I'm sure you would answer and be upfront about the applications you
Yeah.
had and what, I mean.
No, if anyone's, I mean, generally, the questions have been about the numbers.
Uh-huh.
So generally, if people ask the numbers, I give the numbers.
Well, if we have a concern, we can
I'm
address it
staring at a
with you
spreadsheet right now.
before
Yeah.
it goes public and all that stuff, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I'll point something out.
Councilmember Graves.
You're saying you'll answer all questions, and this is uncomfortable, but somebody's got to say it. So Gene Bruns passed away January 2nd. This current application that I moved to approve, and that I'm voting to approve, was submitted 9 days after Gene Bruns passed away. This applicant only applied to the committees that Gene Bruns served on. So was that a coincidence, or did you ask this applicant to apply?
They had previously reached out to me and asked if there were board openings and what openings there currently are where they think they could fit into a board. And I told them, well, as a matter of fact, there are openings right now, and these are these two. You could wait for something else, or if you're interested in these two, I think you'd be a good fit for these two. And I was told, okay, I'll fill something out and send it over.
I mean, that's exactly the perception of how this operates. So I'm just trying to make it public.
Yeah.
But move to approve.
And there's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes,
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Number 18.
Approval of Shu Wood as Community Development Director.
She would. If you step up to the mic there, then they can hear you at home as well. Thank you.
There you
I'm
go.
going to introduce you real fast.
Yeah, Kim.
evening,
I'll let
Mayor,
Kim kick it
Council.
off, and then we get.
Thank you, Kim.
I would like to introduce you Wood.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks to everyone. This is my very first time standing here doing a public testimony. I am thrilled to meet you all, and I heard a lot of great news about Kansas City and North Kansas City in relation and how you guys being a very strong community. I am very happy that I've been selected for this Community Development Director position. I will do my best to remember all your names and work with you all in the near future. And I know I've seen some familiar faces here, and thank you for your support, and please continue supporting me.
I was going to say, you're probably usually on this side of the public testimony.
It is actually not, because in Kansas City, we do have a U shape.
Yeah.
And usually I do be on this side, being screwed by all the city council and decision makers, so I'm used to this.
Perfect. Well,
Thank you, Mayor DeLong, and thanks, Kim, for introducing me.
excited to have you here. Kim, did you have anything?
Nope. As per city code, the hiring of any director for the city, it actually requires a city council approval. So before you today is that mechanism.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Welcome to North Kansas City. Excited to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So just so everybody knows, Shu's first official day with us will be March 21st.
Number 19, consideration of funding agreement for proposed Chapter 100 bond agreement for Tanemic Company. Resolution number 22-020.
Kim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city has received an application from Tanemic Company Incorporated for their proposed developer, Van Trust Real Estate LLC, for an economic development incentive authorized underneath Chapter 100 of the Missouri State Statutes. Just in case you may or may not know Tanemic's long history with North Kansas City, they have been in North Kansas City for over 100 years, and they specialize in paint and coatings, and they're headquartered here in North Kansas City. They are seeking a Chapter 100 incentive to construct a 310,000 square foot industrial building on 18.4 acres immediately south of Tanemic's existing manufacturing plant at 123 West 23rd Avenue. So underneath the city's economic development incentive policy, if the staff believes an applicant has provided sufficient information for the city to consider a company's request for the next step, the city council would consider a funding agreement. In the case of Tanemic, the staff does believe that the applicant has provided sufficient information for a formal analysis to be done. This is accomplished by the applicant agreeing to a funding agreement to cover the city's costs. There is incurred hard costs of doing this type of technical review, so this funding agreement helps pay for that. In this case, the funding agreement covers both a financial analysis of the Chapter 100 request and a review of the environmental issues to the project site. Approval of the funding agreement no way implicates the city in a final approval process. So we have several guests with us tonight, so I'll kind of go over a quick bit of the flow of the presentation. So we have several representatives from Tanemic. They're not at the podium right now, but Chase Bean, the president of Tanemic, as well as Corey Brown, the executive vice president, and Drew Bontinger, I'm hoping I'm saying your last name okay, operations engineer and capital project manager. We are also represented, and it looks like David is going to be doing the presentation. He is with Van Trust, and he is their vice president. After their presentation, so they're going to go over a presentation to talk about their proposed development. After that, Matt Webster will come up and discuss the financial analysis. And then we also have Doug Cheeks from Burns & McDonnell, who will talk about the environmental review. If you guys have questions at any time, please stop and ask us. That way we can address your concerns at that moment. And with that, I would like to hand it over to the Tennemic Van Trust team.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff, and city employees, thank you for opportunity to speak to you this evening. David Rezac with Van Trust. We're located at 4900 Main, Suite 400, Kansas City, Missouri, 64112. And it's an honor to be here this evening. We've got a very quick presentation that we'll go through. I'm joined tonight, like Kim said, by Chase Bean, Corey Brown, and Drew Bontrager with Tennemic, but also Charles Renner with Hush Blackwell. So we'll give this quick presentation. Next slide, please. I wanted to, as we jump in, I wanted us to kind of share some of the other members of our team. We've really kind of assembled a best-in-class team of architects, engineers, contractors for this development. We've got, in addition to Van Trust being the developer, the architects is Davison Architects, the civil engineers Olson Engineering, Miller Stouch Construction is our design builder, who's provided all of our pre-construction cost estimates, et cetera. The environmental consultant is McRobertson Hardis. And then, of course, our partner with North Kansas City, so we're excited to work on this project with all of you. And then, ultimately, Burns and McDonnell, who will be, on your behalf, kind of providing some oversight on any environmental issues and make sure that there's no negative impact to the North Kansas City water system. Next slide, please. And I'm going to have Chase and Corey come up here and the next couple slides and give you just a brief history of Tennemic and North Kansas City and then some of their operational challenges as well.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Again, thank you all for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. My role will be to share a brief history of Tennemic Company. If you're not familiar with us, we are a manufacturer of high-performance industrial and commercial paint products and coating products. We are celebrating our centennial, just finished our centennial last year. And one correction, Kim, we actually started in the West Bottoms of Kansas City and moved to North Kansas City in 1950. And we've had continuous operations here ever since. Very proud business resident of North Kansas City. We currently have around 200 employees here in the Northland. And beyond that, we have bases of operation in Baltimore, Maryland, Dallas, Texas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Panama City, Florida, Los Angeles, Shanghai, China, and we will soon be commissioning a manufacturing plant in Saudi Arabia. Our activities in North Kansas City are part of the culture of Tennemic Company. We're, again, very proud to be here and pleased that we, maybe the only bright spot of COVID was that we had the opportunity to sell our corporate office in Kansas City, Missouri, so we've been able to begin relocating more of our staff to North Kansas City and enthusiastic about the positive changes here in the community. We are active in the community. We've got a statement there of corporate stewardship. I would say the most recent one that isn't listed here is active participation with Feed North Kansas City Children, which has been a very important thing for us to address. We have tried to grow as much as we can within Kansas City, North Kansas City, and the facilities that we've patched together have made a little bit of a challenge to producing products at Tennemic. And to explain that more, I'll introduce Corey Brown to you all now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chase. Thank you, council members, for allowing us to come and speak to you tonight. Yeah, as Chase mentioned, we are excited to be in a bit of a growth period. Believe it or not, that factory pumped out a little over 2 million gallons last year. We've got some good plans to try to double that production capacity, probably by 2030. That's our goal, at least. But we do deal with some inefficiencies in our process. It's unlucky that as we've grown over the years, we've developed the property that was available to us, but it's left us in a situation where 23rd Avenue divides our raw material warehousing and our finished goods warehousing from our production facilities. So we're stuck moving materials back and forth between buildings using 18-wheelers and trucks. And there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with that to make sure that we've got bills of lading and things like that when materials move. So it's inefficient, and as we scale up production, if you've got an inefficiency like that in your operation, the inefficiency scales with you. So we're really looking to solve that problem. We've owned those 18 acres south of our factory for a number of years now, and we've looked at building a 100,000 square foot warehouse that we need to add on to our operations. Unfortunately, the price of that and the amount of money we'd have to borrow is just it's not possible for us to do that. We've taken a run at it a few times. Glad to be working with Van Trust. They're a very professional team, and they've kind of put a scope on this deal now that does make sense for us. So we're glad to be working with them, and we're thankful for your consideration. I'll turn it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Chase and Corey. Next slide, please. So some of those specifics that Corey was just talking about from just the project specific that's being proposed. Actually, one more slide. There you go. So it's a total of a little over a 310,000 square foot Class A rear-loaded industrial building. That's about a $32.8 million private investment. Tnemic's going to take the new building will literally butt up against the south facade of the existing manufacturing plant, and Tnemic will take a little over 100,000 square feet, so the northern third of the new building. That will leave almost 210,000 square feet of expansion space for them to grow into over the years. Ultimately, day one, that'll be lease space, but it is their future, it kind of future-proofs their growth over the years. The site is about 18.39 acres. There'll be 185 cars parking stall on the east side of the development, and then on the west side is where we have 63 dock positions and 60 trailer stalls. The inside clear of the facility is about 36 foot clear, which makes the total height of the building about 40 feet. We will have on-site stormwater detention and, of course, all the city's BMP facilities. We'll need to install a new storm sewer lift station. And then we are, just so you know, we are aligning the new floor slab of the new 310,000 square foot facility with the first floor of the manufacturing plant. Next slide, please. When we do that, so we have a lot of export. When we align those slabs and creating the dock situations, we have about 100,000 cubic yards of export that will be required. So we're actually going to export 77,000 cubic yards, but the good news is we found a location where we can keep about 24,000 cubic yards on site. So that's this soil stockpile that's kind of in the northwest corner of the site. It's just on the west side of the trailer parking. That it will be a gently sloped, grass-covered, mobile mound that rises to approximately 20 foot tall at its peak. And it's behind this 40-foot tall new building, so obviously you're not going to be able to see that from Burlington. The dirt will be placed and maintained pursuant to the site management plan that we will get approved by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Ironically, it also allows us on this project to meet North Kansas City's green space requirements by having that. And then, as I mentioned before, the site will be graded and drained to comply with all the city requirements. Next slide. This is a rendering that we had produced, kind of an aerial rendering that shows the new building. It's looking south and west. So you see the river and the rail yards on the west side. Burlington's kind of in the front and 23rd Street. But you see how the new facility will abut the existing manufacturing plant. And then kind of on the west side, you start to see the storm detention and the stockpile that I mentioned. Next slide. So the challenges to expanding on site is what we talked about before, the high costs and time to address the historical environmental contamination through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. I mentioned that we're planning to align the new and existing finished floor elevations, which requires extensive excavation of the site and creates 100,000 cubic yards of export material. The site geology will require a more costly foundation system than is typical on these types of buildings. We're having to go with a ram aggregate pier system. And then the site requires installation of a new lift station to address stormwater issues. Next slide, please. Project benefits. So this project will facilitate a new development that will be favorably impact a long-standing historical environmental challenge that predates Tnemic's ownership of the site. Defray extraordinary site development costs, allow Tnemic to efficiently expand its operations in North Kansas City. It'll retain and create new jobs to support North Kansas City's redevelopment, and ultimately it will expand North Kansas City's tax base.
Do you know how many jobs, possible new jobs that this development would create for North Kansas City?
Yeah, we think that it'll be about 42 retained jobs and up to about 110 new jobs is what we're planning.
Sorry, is that just on the Tnemic site or the entire site?
That's on the Tnemic site. Well, no, it's on the whole 310,000 square feet. Is that what
Yeah.
the question is? Yes, the
Correct.
whole building.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. I think our next slide is the incentive request. I'd like Charles Renner with Hush Blackwell to come up and walk through those bullet points, and then we'll wrap this up.
Thanks, Dave. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Charles Renner with Hush Blackwell. I listened to a lot of the presentation, and I think the thing I heard the most was brief, so I will be brief. Your incentive policy has a 25-year horizon on it with a 75% for 10 years and 37.5% for the following 15. We anticipate this request being less than that in years, 15 years, and for the first 10 years, an 80.6% request, as well as a 41.8% for the following 5 years. However, that's only going to be on the expanded new development. So all of the existing site that is operated by Tnemic, that will continue to be paid on the tax rolls as it is, and we anticipate working towards a fixed pilot agreement with staff that comes comes before you. We will work with your professionals, and you've got some very good ones. We've already been very engaged with staff to date. It includes Mr. Matt Webster with Stiefel, obviously Burns and McDonnell, and your staff as well. So I think was mentioned earlier, there was an amount of engagement to make sure we were all in front of you in a way that made sense. There's been a lot of discussion to get to this point, so we're very happy to be here moving to these next steps on the funding agreement. I would say, in my experience, one of the biggest challenges with development is the retention and growth. That's one of the things that a lot of incentives have been developed for, but it's very difficult to make them work. And in this instance, part of the reason this is going to work is there was a slide earlier that just talked about the efficiency, and I don't think the slide went by a little quick, but Tnemic handles goods on average about 17 times during its processing, and an expansion like this will cut that in half. And so to be able to get to that level of efficiency on a retained site is a big accomplishment. So we look forward to working with you all on that. Thank you.
So I believe that is it for our quick presentation. We blew through it really quick, so we'd like to open it up for any questions at this point.
There is always points for quickness. I'm sorry, Councilmember Palombi.
I had a question. So you guys are building a 310,000 square feet building, but you're only expecting to use about a third of the space and then rent out the other 2/3. Why build such a big space if you're not going to need it? And how quickly do you, because it says on here that you're planning on eventually moving into it, how quickly do you see that happening, and how long is it going to be a rental spot?
Yeah, the additional 210,000 square feet ballpark kind of future-proofs Tnemic's long-term growth. So that gives them the ability to grow into this over time. They will need that 101,000 day one as soon as the building's done. So it future-proofs their whole corporate campus. But we think until they need that space, the industrial market's really good right now. We think that we can lease that 210,000 square foot to other prospective tenants. No problem.
Is that a guaranteed locked-in contract with Tnemic that they would get that space if needed? The additional 200,000?
The additional 210? I don't know about a guaranteed locked in, but it,
So it may not. I mean, you guys could potentially never lease that to them, even
Yeah.
if they want to expand. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Other council member questions? Oh, you will be the owners of the building. Okay, okay. That's what he said. He stepped up to say to Nimick will be the owners of the building, so you would be able to, okay, figure that portion out. There you go. That helps. No further questions, I don't think, at this time. Definitely have to take a deeper dive at the numbers, which is, I think, the next phase for sure.
Absolutely. I'd like to call up the city's financial advisor, Matt
Thank you.
Webster.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Webster with Stiefel. I don't have numbers to review tonight, but I will tell you what the process is. This is one of the larger Chapter 100s that the city has gotten in the last few years. Obviously, there have been some large residential projects, but as to industrial projects, I can't remember one recently that has been this big. So there is review to do, and as Charles Renner pointed out, they've asked for a little bit more abatement than is permitted under the city's policy, but the policy also says that the city council has a discretion to grant that additional abatement with extraordinary circumstances. So we'll take a look at those extraordinary circumstances. We'll take a look at their numbers. We'll talk to the school district about how they feel about the abatement, and then we'll come back to you with the results of that analysis after working with the city staff, and obviously present that all to you in another meeting. And at that point, you'll have the ability to either approve what is presented or modify it as you see fit. And then again, if we all come to agreement, we'll pass out a Chapter 100 plan, and at that point, the abatement schedule will be locked in. And my understanding of Tnemic's schedule is that they're anxious to move forward quickly, and I don't think that anything that we do, either on the staff level or with the council, will hold up things, because we have experience with these sorts of abatement requests, and I think we can move through. With that, I'm happy to, let me just add one other thing. So the reuse of industrial property of this sort. So I went back and checked the development history of the site. As Chase mentioned, this was fairly recently acquired by Tnemic. Before that, it was owned by a number of different parties stretching back almost 100 years. So there are multiple plots of property all around the metro area, primarily in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, where 100-year-old parcels, can't be used. They're too far gone. And the fact that this is a site where a growing and dynamic corporate citizen is looking to expand, that should be a good thing, and that's frankly part of what the city's incentive policy was intended to address. So I think from that standpoint, it sort of fulfills the public interest of what incentives are there for. But the nitty-gritty and the hard numbers are really what we're looking at, not just the big picture. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Other than that, we'll be back with more information later once we've done our analysis.
I'll get to you one second. I'm going to ask, where do you anticipate the egress for the truck traffic on this project? So that's not for you, Matt. That's my,
Sure. Yeah.
anyone
I'll
else
just
on
step
this side
aside.
over here?
Yeah, 23rd Street. So the trucks would come in on 23rd Street, kind of to the existing northwest corner of their manufacturing plant, and then go down the west side of the new building. Then they would leave that same way. So
Oh, they'd go back out.
yeah,
Okay.
come back out
Okay.
that same way. So 23rd Street.
Perfect. That was one I had now. I'm sure I'll have more later, but Councilmember Clevenger.
Couple of questions and a comment. Certainly, Matt's going to look at the numbers. The Tnemic property that's there now, the buildings that are built are going to be on the regular tax rolls. And I'm assuming that it's where it's vacant now, they're just paying on a vacant lot, where if we get, even with the tax abatement, I'd like to see if it sounds like it might work out to be more tax revenue for us, instead of just being a vacant lot and having something built on it, but still getting the 20%, 19.4%, whatever it is. I think this is a good thing for our city as well, and good for Tennemic, certainly to be able to keep a corporate partner, keep a longstanding company in North Kansas City. The environmental, that maybe we can clean up this site is a help for our water plant and water wells close by. And I think it just shows that, some people think that, manufacturing is dead in the United States, and it's not. And North Kansas City has a great history with some manufacturing, and we've diversified, and we've got entertainment and other venues as well, but manufacturing is never going to go away, and if we can have quality manufacturing, that's going to help support our tax base for the long haul. I think it's important as well, so.
Further council member comments? Oh, did you have more? You look like you had more.
I do.
Oh,
I
Amy,
don't want to
did
stop
you
any
waive?
questions you
Well, I
may
was
have.
going to say,
didn't see
are we tabling essentially until we get further information?
No, this is to set that up. So they'll write a check essentially to help cover deeper dives.
So what's in front of you today is just the funding agreement. And what that does is it actually pays for the deeper dive of information, both on the financial and the environmental components. And then through that finding is where we would take the next step. So all that the city council has before them today is the funding agreement.
This does not approve a Chapter 100
Correct.
amendment tonight.
Yeah, I think that was my hesitation.
There's the,
Thank you.
Councilmember Saper.
Just a point of information, how much of the cost is actually being returned to us for the chapter? There are costs associated with this going forward.
Correct.
The
So
next step. How
The
much
funding
is the
agreement will
city?
pay for the financial review, and I'll touch on the environmental review. So that is a separate part. So there are two items in front of the city council, but the second item is actually second on the agenda because should the first item fail to move forward, the second item is moot.
Okay.
So the funding agreement pays for the financial review and half of the environmental review. Because this is kind of a bit of an extraordinary circumstance, the city has agreed, or contingent on the city council's approval, will agree for half of the environmental, because really why that is being considered is its proximity and location to the water treatment plant. We do have members, in fact, if you would allow me to kind of table into that. The second item on this is a contract for services with Burns & McDonnell. They are the ones who are helping us out with our water treatment plant. We do have Jess Boyers, who is actually joining us remotely. I believe that she's on there. And we have Doug Cheek, who is joining us in person from Burns & McDonnell. They will be conducting the environmental review and its impact to our water treatment plant should this item move forward.
If you have something else.
In other instances of Chapter 100, I know that the city has been totally reimbursed for the cost, and I understand why we aren't now. I just wanted to get that out.
All right. Councilmember Graves.
So are we looking for a motion on, I think this is great for the city, and I'm on board, so I would, if you're looking for a motion, I would like to move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There is a second. Further council member discussion. Or Kim has, you look like you had more. I saw your hand.
Councilmember
Well,
Clark?
I was just,
Councilmember Clark.
do you want us to look at the second item as well at the same time here?
No, well, they're two separate items on the agenda.
They
We
are-
got
they
past
are
this
two
resolution
separate items,
first,
but-
and then we'll roll into
Okay,
the.
that's
if-
good with me.
Yeah, if this one goes down, then I'll remove the
Great.
next one, but I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, we have a first, we have a second. We're good with the clerk? Okay, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we're on to number 20.
Letter agreement with Burns & McDonnell for certain environmental consulting work, resolution number 22-022.
All right, anything further to add?
No, like I said, we do have representatives of Burns & McDonnell. If you guys have any questions on that, other than that, I tried to address both items in one motion.
Move to approve.
There's a motion second. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Employment agreement with City Councilor Thomas E. Barzee, Jr., bill number 7671, ordinance number 9468.
The moment of truth. Is Tom staying around for another year? Is there any discussion?
Move to
on
approve.
this?
Second.
First reading. This is
Oh, first reading. What am I
this is
doing?
an ordinance.
We're just over here cruising.
There's a first reading and a second, right? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance approving and adopting Ninth Amendment to Employment Agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and Thomas E. Barzee, Jr., City Councilor.
I move that bill number 7671 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9468.
Second.
Further councilmember discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi.
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Tull.
Yes.
An ordinance approving and adopting Ninth Amendment to Employment Agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and Thomas E. Barzee, Jr., City Councilor.
And for clarity, if they would have let me vote it, I would have voted yes too. So,
I would have had to think about it. Number 22, discussion of rescheduling the City Council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022, due to scheduling conflicts.
so on this one, Councilmember Clevenger and I will be in DC at the National League of Cities, and I've also learned since that I believe Councilmember Clark will be out of town as well,
I will.
putting us very thin on numbers to conduct a meeting. So now I'm opening up to calendar to see Councilmember Graves.
So it would take, I'm just theorizing here, so it would take, if you were gone, then Smith would become the mayor during that time?
That's correct.
And then we would need 5 council members to
No,
have-
he, from my understanding, he would be included in that.
He would be included in the
Yeah,
5?
yeah, he still gets to vote. and
Oh,
still gets
okay.
In full, yeah, so you do retain that, yeah.
That is spring break, but I actually scheduled my vacation around the council meeting. So if you guys are missing and there's 1, 2, assuming that everyone else is
That's
here.
assuming that everyone
Yeah.
else can show up,
You're getting to the,
including Adam.
yeah.
Can you really leave Jesse in charge? That's,
Not really the question for debate at the moment. It's a calendaring question.
I mean, unfortunately, Jesse and Adam are not here, and so I'm unsure if they have plans or not, but that would still leave us where we could still miss one other person theoretically and still function. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of opposed to moving it if possible, because we're just basically kicking the can down the road, and then we still have a meeting the next week and whatever. So, I mean, I would like to keep it where it is if we have enough people, but we don't know if we have enough people because, Roberts and Smith aren't here.
Further councilmember comments on rescheduling? Basically that. Yeah, I mean, I'm back Friday.
Oh, I think I was thinking like a couple days later.
Yeah, no, I'll be out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, returning late Thursday.
I have a question.
Councilmember Graves.
Could we leave it where it is and then, for now, and then after this meeting, can you ask council members Roberts and Smith if they'll be present? And if so, then we can leave it, and if not, then we can, does this have to be decided during this council meeting? Is it what
I mean,
I'm
it would
getting
help,
at?
because, then you could even be like illness. You could have just an illness, and then you're just down to minimum numbers.
So if, I did receive a message from one of the council members. Councilmember Smith said that he would be able to make that meeting.
I agree.
I can always remote in as well. I'll be there,
So we're keeping that meeting?
because we'll be a hybrid.
is that an option? Are you
Meeting.
allowed to?
Oh, it's an option.
Phone,
It's happening.
phone in or
I'm sure Smith will be excited that he actually gets to
Zoom in?
be the
No, if
You know.
we're holding a meeting, I'll be there.
mayor for a week or
I'll be
whatever.
there. I will virtually attend. We'll figure it out. I know. All right, there we go.
Well, that was fun.
Next item, number 23, discussion of rescheduling the city council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, due to the municipal election day.
Another rescheduling. Councilmember Toll.
This one, I would argue to reschedule. It's something we discussed, was it last year or 2 years ago? And I have had people in my ward, one in particular that works the polls, and other situations where people would like to be able to come to the meeting, but they can't because it's the election day.
Councilmember Graves.
My thoughts on this one were actually to leave it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going through my head, like, I could understand, like, the last election cycle. I know that many of us were actually, in that election and running for office. This current election, are any of us running opposed at all? Yes. Oh, they are? Who is? No, Zach is retiring.
Zach's not running. but
Anthony.
Two people in the ward that are
There's-
running, I won't be watching
At
it.
least 4 elections every time.
Okay.
Anna.
Yeah, if people are, I'm not keeping track, so if people are running opposed, then you might want to reschedule, because I know it's important to be at the polls and
And not
shaking
just-
hands with people and.
The second half of that petition is really to, you have a lot of other people that participate in the meetings, as saw that whole crowd that left earlier, just making sure everyone has that full spectrum, of time during the day to make sure they're able to vote. Councilmember.
You do not,
Councilor.
under your present ordinance, you do not presently have, you've declared that to be a
Yeah.
day you do not have the council, so a council meeting, okay? That's what your ordinance says now, that's what you changed
Yeah.
it to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's why we set that up
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, but you didn't make a decision as to which day it was going to be. You could have, like other holidays, legal holidays, the next non-holiday, and this would have automatically turned it to every, a Wednesday, the day after the election, you would always have them. But it wasn't that way. It wasn't drafted or, what you asked for. But right now, that is not a city council day.
So what you're saying is, we're automatically not, we usually have council meetings on the first and third
Correct.
Tuesday. So in April, we're not having it on the first Tuesday.
That is
So
correct.
we're only scheduled for one meeting in April, which is the third Tuesday.
I-
So we
Well,
need
we-
to schedule.
I
Yeah.
should have pulled it out and had it
That's
right
the
in
item.
front of
The item
me.
is saying it's not canceling, it's trying to move it. Do you move it a day before? Do you move it a day after? Do you move it a week later? I mean, we want to have the second meeting. We need the second meeting to pay the bills. We need to have a second meeting.
Correct.
This is just trying to, again, decide the calendar.
And if I remember
we-
correctly, we didn't pick the day because we wanted to have the flexibility when it came up to
Sure.
choose Monday or Tuesday.
Correct, Monday,
I mean,
Tuesday,
Monday or Wednesday.
Saturday.
Not Saturday, but I think that's why we didn't designate it, because we wanted to have the flexibility.
And
I
Monday, you
will say
sometimes
on
have
just a
court.
point of protocol, Mondays, this room is reserved for court. So Monday would not be an option, just putting that out
So
there.
if we just want to do a one-day move, it'd be to Wednesday.
April
unless we wanna
6th.
Go to another week. Much faster on the calendar there than I was.
I'm for Wednesday, April 6th.
April 6th. Yeah, yeah, that's fine with me too. Wednesday, April 6th. Councilmember Safer just kind of had a, if it's there, I'll be there. There we go. Thank you. April 6th.
It falls the way it falls.
Oh, I don't know.
Was there a need for a motion? or
I do
just-
believe I need a motion in a
I
second.
move to approve Wednesday, April 6th.
As-
as-
I think everyone understood the motion. Okay. There's a
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Number 24, approving accounts due and payable by the city through February 25th, 2022. Bill number 7672, ordinance number 9469.
First reading.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through February 25th, 2022.
I move that Bill number 7672 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9469.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Palumby.
Yes.
Councilmember Graves.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember Tull.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through February 25th, 2022.
I'm just staring. I'm waiting for Crystal's next item. But that would be Kim's next item. Staff comments.
Is there any department directors that would like to make an announcement? I forgot to send the email earlier today.
Oh, you made it sound like there was one.
Can I say something? You
Anthony?
guys all had an envelope laying on your desk, and that's because, again, we're not having the employee banquet, so you can use that to order a shirt a jacket or a pair of pants. Lisa said her email didn't work, so we will check and make sure that all the council members' emails are on there, so. Okay, and it closes pretty quick, so.
So, does anybody else? So inside your packet is several reports and information. I would like to share that today is the first day for the Call to Walls for the 2022 Crummett Foundation mural. So we would love to have very many in that pile of business owners or building owners who would like to submit their wall for a potential public art mural. Please have your applications in by March 31st. I would like to thank the City Council for approving Shu Wood. We are very excited for her to join our team. We look forward to having her join us for future council meetings. And I'm sure everybody is aware that we happen to have a little event coming up called Snake Saturday, and we hope to see everybody there.
Fantastic. Anthony? No, nothing. Councilmember Clevenger, we'll let you pick it up.
Okay, great. I've got a ton of stuff tonight, so buckle in. No. Just a few items. First of all, welcome to SHU. I look forward to working with you in the short time that I'll be, until my term ends. So, but welcome, and looking forward to great things. Do want to kind of a note on an alarming trend that a lot of our recent hires are from the University of Kansas, Jayhawks, and that is an alarming trend for us Missouri people sometimes. But well recommended, so welcome to you. Also, yeah, Kim kind of mentioned it, Snake Saturday's coming up. Hope the weather's going to be good. I can guarantee that for you, so don't worry about the weather. And knock on wood, it's going to be good weather and should be a good event. Glad to have it back regular. And I want to thank our chiefs for the presentations, and Kim on the hotel tier system. I think that'll maybe help alleviate some of our problems. And was happy that we can moving forward with Tnimic, and I've already talked about the history of manufacturing in the future. So that's it.
Councilmember Clark?
Get your submissions in for Arts in the Park. I believe that's still open until maybe the 20th. Also, thanks to Jill Anderson from 7 Days of Kindness. And welcome aboard, Shu. Welcome aboard. We're going to have a good time.
Are you going to sing a song for me?
Oh, well, later. I'll work on it.
We'll save it for your first meeting.
Right. We're going to be here a while. But thank you to staff, all the notes and all the clarifications tonight. We're really on our A game. Sorry. Okay, that's it for me.
There we go. Councilmember Plumlee.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank Chief Freeman for putting together that presentation. I think it's going to be a great thing for our community and hopefully move things towards a safer environment for everyone here. I also wanted to give a special shout out to the chorus at the Gardens for their invitation for their choir yesterday. They invited the council and members of the EIC to celebrate Black History Month, which now is over. It was great. We all really appreciated the invite. And then lastly, yeah, welcome aboard, Shu. I will not sing you a song.
Oh, thank you, Thank you.
But it's not over yet. We got more. Maybe Councilmember Graves.
I also want to welcome Shu Wood, Community Development, and we have an all-star staff here, and I'm really proud of the staff that we've assembled. Shu, you'll fit right in. You're a very integral piece to the staff, and we look forward to working with you. And also, today I took my son to get his haircut on Swift, and the city is cutting trees down on Arbor and Swift, if you haven't noticed. So real soon here, after Snake Saturday, the downtown streetscape project will begin. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to, people never pay attention to these projects, and we talk about them for months, and then once they begin, people start complaining. So I'm ready for the tree complaints to start rolling in. And then, we live in this crazy world right now. Everybody, COVID we turned the page, kind of mandates started being lifted and things like that, and it was exciting. And then war's taking place in Russia and Ukraine. So I gotta mention that. We're so lucky and blessed here in North Kansas City to live in this little hamlet that we live in. And so I pray for peace, and there's families that are affected over there. It's not just soldiers and warriors involved. There's families just like us in North Kansas City involved over there. So I hope they stay safe, and not everyone's as blessed to live in a safe community like we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Saper.
I'd like to echo the Black History musical presentation by the Gardens. It was really very well done. I'm glad they invited us. Also, it's, I hope I pronounce it right, for those celebrating Mahashivratri, a Hindu festival, may you have a good fast. And in today's paper, there was an article about hospital price transparency, and a study that in the last year that it's been in effect, a survey has indicated only 14% of hospitals have actually complied. So I would ask our hospital what their progress has been toward complying with price transparency as mandated by law now. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Toll.
I too would like to welcome you, Shoewood. We are excited to start working with you. I should have said this when Tnemec was here, but going to their facility and taking the tour, one of the things that was very obvious is that they're a family company because it's been in the family, but also they're a family company because they have families of people that have been working for them for generations, which I think speaks volumes to the integrity of their business. So I'm happy about them staying and investing in North Kansas City. I would like to thank Councilman Graves for the reminder of the streetscape project starting soon. I think that's a good reminder to keep talking about it as it gets closer. And I went to the Gardens Choir as well. It was wonderful. They did such a lovely job. My favorite part was they gave us history behind the songs, and I learned quite a bit going there, so that was great. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
That leaves me. Jill's not here anymore, but I appreciate Jill coming out, and I appreciate Mayor Weir from Independence reaching out and having North Kansas City join the 7 Days of Kindness. So I'd watch for more information on that in the near future. Welcome, Shoewood. We're excited to have you and look forward to getting you over here with Anthony. Anthony and this table, which, rolling on to, it's your 1 year anniversary, I heard. You're off probation now. I know, so I can't call on him anymore randomly during staff comments because he's hit the 1 year. So, but now we have someone new coming on. So we'll we've already heard about Snake Saturday. I hope everyone has a good time. Stay safe. Our police officers and our firefighters will be out there helping protect the community. Please do not give them a hard time and don't be too crazy, but have a good time. That is it.
Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes, Section 610-0212.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Number 29, consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on this date on a litigation matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes, Section 610.0211.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
Number 30, consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the interim city administrator to be held on this date on a personnel matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes, Section 610.0213.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbi?
Yes.
Councilmember Graves?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember Toll?
Yes.
A reminder for everyone watching at home, the live feed will cut off, but there will be no further business discussed and no further votes taken except for adjournment. Thank you.